Hello, hello. Emma, can you hear me all right? Am I coming through? Nice and fast on the feed. Going to be talking about moulding the ends of the tool bag. So just to recap, in the last little video I popped up some plans for and use them. But I just thought I would show you a little bit about the ends, how to make the ends of the tool bag. So these are the ends that go on the sort of last bit of each. And just get the settings right there. So yeah, I'm going to show you how I do those. Just take a few minutes. And first up, you need some sort of template to draw around. And what I always do with this sort of thing, where you've got something symmetrical, I just get a bit of paper, fold it in half, and then draw like half the template. Oh, George, good morning. It's afternoon here in the UK, but good morning to you. And so you can then fold it out and you get absolute symmetry each side. So what I'm trying to do with the ends of this tool bag, hello Em, I'm trying to get like a bit like a ship's hull, I suppose, is making it go in slightly at the top, so that's the top, and wider at the base. So this is the ends of the tool bag. So if you're just joining, I'm just describing these ends here that I'm going to be making. So what will happen with these is, this is one I have wet moulded already. They're going to have like ends which you can then put the lever along and sew it. Oh, hi American Sewing Machines, I love your Instagram. Good afternoon. I'll show you what I mean. So if you can pretend that is the wall of a tool bag, that's the end of the tool bag, then I've got this ridge on the ends and I will be sewing to get this wall fixed to the end. I hope that sort of makes sense. And hi from Norway, hi for. So that's the sort of moulding to do. Now, the sort of steps to get to these moulded ends, first of all, obviously, is to cut out the blank. So that's where I've got the template. And as I say, if you fold a bit of paper, draw half of it, cut it out with some scissors, you then know you've got symmetry. So that's the plan for the end. Hi George, it's 10:24 in South Florida. Goodness, yes, it is weird this, isn't it? It's what, about 3:30 in the UK at the moment. So yes, and a lot of skiving. That is really the next stage. So basically, it's quite heavy veg tan. It's 3.5mm veg tan. Hi Abel from Texas. So what one wants to be able to do is to skive off around the edges, which is what I've done on this one. Now, the skiving, you can do it one of two ways. You can either use a skiving knife, which is quite a nice, effective way, or you can pop it on a machine. I'll just attempt, and this may be pushing live feeds a bit too far for me, I'll quickly just attempt to show you both ways. So, Barry, I think I've just responded on that, but eBay for packaging. Let me just bring the camera down a bit over the bench. Hopefully this will work. I probably won't be able to see your comments well at this point. But with the skiving, what you're trying to do is basically, I always keep these skiving knives covered because they're wickedly sharp. But what you're trying to do basically is thin the edge, roughly probably to half thickness. So this is very roughly about 3-4 millimeters. You want to get it down to like 2 millimeters or a bit under, and you want the skive to go back about 3/4 of an inch. So the idea is you go along with your skiving knife and you can give it like a runner bean slicing action, I sometimes like to think of it. And I'm going to hash it now because I'm doing this live. But the idea is you work your way back. I would normally do this off the end of a bench where you've got something a bit flatter. And what you're trying to do is get it tapered down. It might be easier actually because I'm not on the end. If I just show you on a slimmer bit, but I think you'll get the idea regardless. Do it like a sliding across action. I'm exaggerating, something like that, and you can take off nice controlled whispers of the leather, and you want to go back very roughly 3/4 of an inch, it's not critical, and get that outer edge down to very roughly half thickness. So I'm getting there a little bit more. It takes a bit of time, but if you get yourself set up, some people use a block of wood or granite just underneath the edge and then skive over, and that's quite a nice way of doing it. But what you're getting there is the edge thinned down, and it's a nice gradient down as well. So you're very generous saying amazing skills. I didn't think that was brilliant, but you'll get the idea. What we'll then be able to do, and I'll show you in a minute, is wet that. Now that's the hand skiving, and just in case you're interested, this is one of the ultra cheap knives you can get off eBay for like $2 or $3, £2 or £3. It's they're perfectly good steel if you sharpen them up properly and strop them. And I did another film on that a while back. But so that's the hand skiving, and basically what you need to do is go all the way around the inside edge to thin it, which is what I've done on this one. I have cheated here, so please don't think I'm particularly good at skiving, because I did this on a machine. I'm going to just whiz the camera over to the skiving machine to give you a bit of an idea of how that works, just in case you're interested to see it. So very quickly, we'll go over here. I'm hoping I can twist it around. So this is a standard skiver, and it's got a cutting blade here. Now the thing with skiving machines that I think sometimes people don't realise is they come with different feet, because if you're wanting to just do something fairly narrow, like an inch or 3/4 of an inch as we do here, you want a foot roughly an inch wide. You don't want to be using that 2-inch foot. Okay, that's why you have several. The angles actually do vary. If I line one of these feet up over the other, you'll see that actually they're very slightly different on the angle of the foot where it comes underneath. This one, the shorter one, is slightly higher up than the lower one. So it's just worth knowing that. The other thing just to mention while I have my 2-inch foot out, something which isn't publicised by the skiving manufacturers, but it's a really good tip, is you can lawnmower skive with these, and you can actually take a bit of like 8-ounce leather and do multiple passes and get it down to like 4 ounces. Really useful for wallets. Anyway, machine, that's the bell knife, that's the cutting bit. Switch it on, it has a foot pedal, and you basically just feed it through and you get a skive just like that. Very quick and easy. You should have a safety guard on here. I know. But anyway, that's what you should do. So don't do it as I do, always use a safety guard. Right, so back here, I'll just whiz this around again, and I will try and show you some of the wet moulding. Just lost my comments, bring those back up. Hi Dan from That's great. So I think we're working here. So let me just show you what we want to do is raise an edge, okay, because we're going to butt the leather onto this raised edge. The sides and the base will all get butted on and it'll be sewn, so it gives us a lip for sewing. So having skived all round, what we can do is just wet the leather on the inside, and I'll show you what I mean. Thanks John, appreciate that. And hi David. I'm having to at the moment do these live feeds on a phone. I've got my laptop. I'm hoping to get a battery turn up for it, and then I'll be able to hopefully get that back into action, and it will give me a bigger screen to be able to look at your comments, and I'll be able to use a better camera and better sound, but hopefully the phone is tolerable in the meantime. So what I'm doing now, oops, sorry, get myself in view, is I'm just going around with some water. So I've got an ordinary like garden spray or soap spray bottle here, just repurposed one, and I'm just going around soaking where I want to have my fold line. It's not a bad idea if you have a pair of dividers just to sort of like whiz round. So I want this fold line to be at roughly 1/2 inch. So I'm just going around with ordinary dividers here, they're rather an old pair, but they're standard dividers. And that will give me a line. So what I'm wanting to do is basically bend the leather on that line. So I'm going to soak it a bit, not over soak it, but give it a couple of passes with some water, and then as soon as it's sunk in a little bit, start bending it. So I'm just going to go down once again with the spray bottle and just wet this. So we're okay here. So it's ideally, if I do this right, I don't have it dripping through the other side, but I dare say today I probably am. There we are, something like that. Just give that a minute or two to case. Yeah, it's coming through slightly, that's okay. And then what I've done on this side, which I don't think you'll be able to see probably, I've done the same thing with the dividers. I've just given myself a little like guideline for the 1/2 inch. So we'll just give that a second or two to soak. How's Tom doing? Tom has been, that's my cat if anyone is wondering, has been very busy because we've got some rats in a composter. It's one of our neighbours' composters, and they're also pinching the hedgehog food, so it's probably our fault for having hedgehogs come and visit and feeding them. But Tom's been busy killing the baby rats, so we're having to sort out the bigger rats. Tom's quite old now and quite stiff, so he's not very good at big things, or he might come off the worst for it. But we're doing the he has dealt with the little ones, which is good. So what I'm now doing, just before I start, will wet moulding work on supple chrome tan leather? I've never tried, or should just skiving be used? Yeah, on chrome tan I think you'd have quite a bit of difficulty with wet moulding. I'll be honest with you, I haven't tried it. I think it needs to be veg tan always to get a proper wet mould to work. I've never seen it on chrome tan. I dare say you probably could if you had steam and things, but it's normally done with veg tan. So this is veg tan leather I'm using here, and all I'm doing is I'm just going around the edge, manipulating it and trying to work it up roughly along that sort of fold line. It doesn't matter too much with a project like this where it's a tool bag, but it does pay to sort of cut your fingernails before you start, because you'll end up with masses of little fingernail marks if it's, you know, a more sort of prestigious project. Happy Easter from West Wales. Thanks, Gwyn. So all I'm doing, I'm just going around the edge here, manipulating it a few times. Now what you'll find as you go around this edge, you're going to get puckers, and if you're into sort of sewing, you'll be well versed at how you deal with those. But essentially what you want to do is put a couple of little like pleats in. Now I did it on this one, so I'll just broadly try and match them up for a bit of symmetry, not that it really matters. So what I'm going to do is, where it's sort of tending to pucker, is just add these pleats. It doesn't really matter where they go. So if I didn't put these in, what you'd end up with when you come to sew this, you'd have lots of roughs and bumps, and it would get quite difficult to sort of sew it round. Let me bring it in a bit closer. So hopefully you can see that. What I'm doing is bending that round the whole time, but it's going to sort of ruffle and what have you, so I'm going to cut it out just with my clicker knife. So this little clicker knife is a standard like shoemaker's clicker knife, and it's quite useful actually. It's got a little curvy blade, I quite like it. On my desk here I've got some big cutting mats, so I can cut away and not damage my blade. It's a self-healing mat. So I'm just taking out little slices like that, and then when I come now to push these up, it begins to close in quite nicely. Let me just try and show you what I'm meaning. Hopefully you can see that. Hello Anne from Aberdeenshire. It's great, isn't it? All over the world. So there they are. It just means you, when I come to sew this now, it would be smoother for the, I'm going to do this by sewing machine, but you could sew it by hand. It would be easier and smoother to go around that corner. Same thing on the other side. You will find you have to keep manipulating this edge to get it to go upright. And what I even sometimes use is the equivalent of a big bone folder, but basically one of my slickers. And you can just go along like that and sort of press it and try and get it to stand upright nicely. So just using the side there. And what you'll find, if you try and follow this like the ½ inch mark, you'll get this nice wall coming up with a nicely defined edge to it. There we are. So that's what you're sort of aiming for, something a bit like that. So you've got a ledge now, and when you come to put the side on, the idea will be that would butt up to the edge. This is the end of the tool holder, tool bag. You'll be able to now sew the side walls onto that seam. So that's what I'm trying to do here. The reason I'm doing the ends first, part of the fact all this can be drying out, is once you've got your two ends, you can obviously confirm that you've got the right size for the wrap around, for the actual main bit of leather that's going to form the sort of body of the toolbox carrier. So what I'm saying is, going back to the plans, there are the ends, this one continuous bit of leather that wraps around the ends. So on the little plan that I popped up the other day, I said it's 23 inches. That is probably a tad generous, because I suspect it will come in a bit less because of all this trimming, but I have a tape measure here so we can quickly get a rough idea, and you'll find I think it's a bit under. Yeah, it's coming in at about 22 very roughly, inch spare, which you can cut off and use for something else, so it's not a problem. But so that's the ends, and that's the wet moulding on that. So once you've got those done, as I say, you can confirm your height and you're sort of good to go. Now with the wet moulding, you'll find that that will all dry and go quite nice and rigid. So I'll just come back now. Oops. Hopefully you can see me. Great. So Dan, yeah, you have a go. Oops, sorry, these comments seem to go. And watch later. Want to say thanks. Well, thanks so much, Dan. That's great. Yeah. Any questions at all? Pop them down below, and I'll try and help out. The plans I showed them in the last little film. I'll just flash them up one more time here in case you want to take a screenshot. But that's what I'm trying to do, is making a leather tool bag. I did a paper mock-up in the last little live as well, and that's the sort of thing it will look like. You could use it for anything. As I say, I'm calling it a tool bag. It could be anything from cosmetic brushes through to sewing, through to artist materials or what have you. And what I'll probably be doing next is making some of the little interior little pockets for things like a phone and one's lunch and one or two other bits. Anyway, hope you found that one helpful, and it's great to see you here. I hope you're all getting on okay with this isolation and trying to, you know, make the best of what is a rather difficult time at the moment. It's a lovely day here today. It's just quite cold. It was really warm yesterday, but at the moment it's a bit colder out there, so it's quite nice being in a workshop. So Joyce, yeah, fantastic, still use inches. I know. I'm one of these people. I was brought up imperial. A lot of, obviously, the younger generation in the UK use metric. So it's a little bit odd. I tend to use a bit of each. And I know that in the US, I think you're still using inches. Correct me if I'm wrong. So yeah, good. Very good comment. Sorry, let's bring it back up. Gwyn, could you make a wooden form for the shape? Yes, you could. That would be actually, if one was doing these in a bit of like a batch, it would be really good to have a wooden mould. I might actually, I'm just looking, there's a mess over the other side of my workshop, whether I could show you a wooden mould for the kind of thing that you'd want to use, but I think I'm probably too messy over there. I don't want to show you my mess. But yeah, that's a very, very good point. You could have a nice bit of cutout wood just round the edges very slightly to take off the sort of hardness of the corners, and you could have a wooden mould. And if you're doing these in a little batch run, that would be a really good way of doing it. What some people do when they use a wooden mould, they actually cut the leather after they've done the wet moulding. So they have a larger bit of leather, put it over the wooden mould, staple it all down, shape it, and then let it dry, and then trim it to the right height, etc. So that's again another little option. Ian Atkinson, Leodis Leather, did a very good little video a while back on making a little like possibles pouch where he did that method, and he did a lovely job on it. Well worth seeing Ian's channel. It's got some great, leather working sort of videos and films on there, so you'll learn a lot. I've learned a lot from Ian. Anyway, there you are. So I think that's it. And I'll say bye-bye at this point and see you again very shortly. I'll post another one up as I make progress, and you can have a look if you want to and see how it's all going. But I hope you're having fun and enjoying yourselves as well. Okay then, bye-bye.